Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Ava Jo LeClair. I would introduce you, Uncle Matty. What's your last name?
Just Uncle Matty's fine.
I will introduce to the stage Uncle Matty.
Of the Matty Mo Show.
Of the Matty Mo Show. Just restart. It wasn't perfect.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Matty Pace coming at you live from the Matty Mo Show, the host, the most mojo equipped with my niece, the lovely Ava Jo. You know what I'm saying?
He has an elf voice.
But today...
Start over!
No, we can't start over yet. We're ready to go. Today we have a special guest on the show, none other than
I'm supposed to say that.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry about that. I don't have an elf voice. He just likes speaking elf. We have a guest on the show. CEOs.
CEO Haize, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready, because it drops in 3,
2, 1. We have to start over.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matty Pace coming at you live. And as I just mentioned, we have the one, the only, the red-bearded assassin leaving the ladies hot flashing. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Thirst Trap. And we all know that. We all love that. Shout out to CEO Haize. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you today, my friend?
I'm blessed, brother. I'm blessed, man. Been looking forward to this one, but always looking forward to recording with my reddied bearded brother and Matty Pace. So you already know what it is, man.
We out here, and I couldn't be happier to have you on. Finally, a long time coming, but Definitely. Coming nonetheless, baby. I appreciate you for designating a little bit of time for me today.
Oh, anytime, bro. I always tell you anytime. And I'm honestly surprised you don't. You're one of the few people who have a green light. Anytime you need me, as long as no family shit, I'm there. And it's funny, like people call me to do shit all the time, right? But the people who I give a green light to, like you, a dope little podcast, Dan on drugs, they rarely call me in. But it's always a good time when y'all do, though.
Maybe it's just because, you know, we know you the content king. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so. That's pretty intimidating from time to time. But you know what? We're about to embrace it fully. And as you do when you get a guest on your show, I know you like to start it off. And I'm going to pull a Fast Freddy on you because I know you like to be asking them little icebreaker questions. Because as you say, no matter how long we've known each other, if this is your first time on the show, I got to break the ice. And we're going to do it just right. So my question to you is, if you had a superpower, just one superpower, what would it be and why?
Ooh, if I had one superpower.
It could be anything.
It would be, let me think. You know, I think like my mind immediately goes to immortality, but no, I think everything is finite for a reason. Mm-hmm. I would say teleportation, only because I do so much shit. And how much money I've spent on flights in my life. If I could just teleport there, not only would it save me money and time, but then I could do even much more. So yeah, I have to say teleportation.
Way more, and you could get out of some tight situations. You know Definitely. All right, well, that's a nice one. That's my little icebreaker question for you. I hope that I didn't disappoint. After all, you are the man behind that. You know what I'm saying? So, by the way, I also wanted to bring up that interview you just recently shot with Bobby from the Cognac Boys, which was dope, talking about mental health in black men and things. And it was just, man, the expansion on that between two of you were just so awesome. And I really loved it. And Bobby was a real chill cat.
Hey, Bobby's from Chicago. He's a Chicago cat through and through. So like anybody who like has people in their life from Chicago, he's definitely a Chicago cat. But it was a good conversation, man. I think, especially when it comes time to talk about mental health, you have to have people that are willing to be transparent, not just about the journey, but about the real shit that they went through before the journey. So it was definitely one of my favorite interviews.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch, a lot of great points made. And, you know, he himself being in the military, man, that was really cool to hear his side of things, as often we don't get to hear that side of things, you know, sure. And it was really cool. He shared a lot of knowledge, as you did as well, and as you always do. So, you know, that being said, When I think about Haize, obviously I think about the content king, I think about a whole lot of different things. But one thing that I'll forever remember and always jump to was the night that we actually got to kick it in Columbus for the surprise birthday party for the Socially Unacceptable podcast, Mr. Barry White Allen and Will Spliff's Dirty 30. And man, that was a night to forever be remembered. Now, I don't know if I asked you there, but what was your actual initial reaction to when that actually just occurred and started to go down?
I mean, I think just in the planning of it all, it was anticipation for like what is it going to be like having all of us in the same space, right? Mm-hmm. But the night was amazing, man. It was a night full of fun, drinks, talking shit. I think the thing that made it, of course, I had. From Socially Unacceptable, we had kicked it in person, but it's always good because when you meet people through podcasting, you never know if you're meeting the host version of them or the real them. And I think when the four of us got together, plus the other people who were there, it was easy to tell very early on that no, we are exactly who we are, even when we're podcasting, and that's what made it more enjoyable. Because like, had you shown up and I'm different than what it was through the podcast, it would have been like, okay, well, let me fill them out a little bit. But since we were the exact same people we are when we're hosting, it's like, oh no, I know this dude. So it is 100%. What it is. Yeah.
And so that leads me to my next thing. For people that don't know, I mean, you got your hand in so many different projects. I mean, for all of you listening out there, I have all the links listed in the description of this video, but the Awakened Soul podcast, I mean, Love, Lust, and Badass Soul, which I don't know if you saw the clip I shared on Twitter the other day.
Have you ever ate some ass before? What? Did you even answer? Your face just did it all.
That was probably the funniest clip from that show I've ever seen. Your laugh and that genuine, just her reaction was the funniest shit in the world to me. I absolutely love it. I had to share it. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, let's get the people a little bit more familiar about the projects that you got going on, what you're involved in a little bit. I know it could go long, but why don't we mention a few of those cool things?
How much time do we have? So just to start, let me see. What can I start with? Host of the Awakened Soul, co-host of Love, Lust, and Badass Soul is on hiatus right now while I look for another co-host. Host of Chicago Bulls Central, co-host of The Breaks Radio, co-host of The Film Frequency. So that's just the podcast side. I'm also owner of Legacy Visions. That is a photography and videography company. I have one short film that's released. I have another short film that was supposed to be released, but it actually got picked up for something that I can't talk about right now. So that's why that one hasn't been released right now.
Baby.
So that I'm also the video content creator for Rock the Bells. I do a lot of their video content over there. Man, I feel like I'm missing like 10 other things, but that's me in a nutshell right now. So
your planner, I couldn't imagine what that looks like, and I don't think I ever want to see it, to be honest. You know what I'm
Bro,
saying?
I live and die by Google Calendar. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist to me, man. Like I almost forgot my birthday this year. That's how seriously I run off the calendar, bro. Like my birthday came, and the day before it, my mind was so much on shit that I was working on that it took for my kids to be like, "Daddy, your birthday's tomorrow." I'm like, you know what? You're right.
What are we gonna go buy me? You know
yeah. So
speaking of your birthday, last year the shout outs that who was it that did the shout outs? We put together
JB.
JB, man. Shout out to JB one time for the one time, because that was probably one of the illest things I ever got to be a part of. And that was a lot of fun, especially because it had so many people that you ain't heard from in such a long time come out and bless you. So, again, a happy birthday again, even though I wished you one already.
Yeah, definitely.
Saying from when it was. But that being said, you talked a little bit about Legacy Visions. Now, for people that don't know, this man is more than just podcast hosting and you heard him. He got a lot of things going on. But one thing that has always intrigued me about you is how versatile you are in the things that you do, no matter what it is. I feel like you can pick up anything and just be good at it and then get great at it. And Legacy Visions to me is something that I just got to know more about. So what gave you the initial idea to go out and start Legacy Visions and create those crazy shots that you do?
So my journey to photography and videography is funny as shit.
Let's go.
So when I was like 12, when I was a kid, I was in almost every sport. I played 3 different instruments and I was in karate. So my parents had me in whatever. And I wanted to start photography. I literally had my little point and shoot Polaroid for like some family vacation. I was like, Mom, I want to get into photography. She's like, photography is very expensive, son. You can do it, but you're going to have to drop your instruments. And at the time, the saxophone and the piano were like life to me. So music is still very important to me. As you know, we've talked about it before.
You're a man filled with soul.
Yeah. So there's no way I was giving up music. So I dropped it. And then when I started doing podcasting, I had been podcasting for about a year and a half, and I was looking into what can take my podcast to the next level. And of course, video content, it was still before, like every podcast now has a video version. It was before then. And so my thought at that time wasn't to do full episodes. It was, hey, I'm going to start recording video promos before each episode, and that's going to be the social media promotion for it. So I bought this cheap Lumix G7 that I caught at a pawn shop for like $200. And I started shooting like little 30-second promos where I would just be like, hey, this is Haize. On this week's episode, I got such and such in the building and we're talking about XYZ. That was it. No clips from the actual episode, no nothing. And from that, it grew to, all right, well, maybe I should start recording the full episode. So I started asking guests if they do video. We started using Skype. And then in me learning how to edit video, because the shit's a bitch, I was like, all right, there's no reason for me to learn this and not take it to the next level. So I started getting into, like, sometimes I do host skits as promos
love those skits.
I love the skits. for my episodes. And so in learning video and learning like camera movement and everything, like it reinvigorated my passion for videography and photography. And so like naturally I had that camera. So like I would start when me and my kids go fishing, we would do photos and all this. And then I remember I took this one photo of my kids on this deck to this lake, and I posted it. And somebody said, "Do you like do photography?" I was like, "No, not really." And they said, "Well, you should consider it." And so they hired me to do their engagement shoot off one photo, right? And so from that, I did this and like in staging like their engagement shoot and coming up with the concept. I was just like, hey, if this turns out good, I need to really, really invest in this. And so Legacy Vision started from that. And then I created my first short film, and I didn't want to label it under the Breaks Media, which is my podcasting business, but I wanted to do something different. And I looked at it as, hey, this is my legacy. This is what I'm leaving behind, because photography and videos are forever. So Legacy Visions came from that. And now like a third of my income comes from doing photography and videography. So yeah,
they say a picture's worth 1,000 words.
And even more bucks if you know what you're doing.
Hell yeah. But editing is no joke.
Yeah. And I think for me, like I made the decision when I became a creative. I can't do anything I'm not passionate about. Like I won't waste my time or anybody else's time. If I'm not passionate about it, there's no point in me being in it. And so with Legacy Visions, it brought out a side of me that, and I'm still developing as a photographer, right? But it brought out a side of me that was always there, because I've always been somebody who loves scenery, who loved like certain things. But like now, like when I'm walking, let's say I'm just walking downtown, my brain now works to say, hey, if you move kind of here and let the sun shine through that building a little bit, that's a dope shot, because you get the sun. Like, so that's how my brain works now. And so it's a joy every day, man, every day.
I mean, you can tell that just by looking at a lot of the shots that you make, especially the ones that you recently posted at CEO Haize on Twitter. You can go check my man out. You know what I'm saying? But those shots, when you just felt like going out at night, taking a few shots, man, those were just crazy. The play on the lights and everything. I was like, who is this man? You know what I'm saying? And how is he friends with me? Like, what is going on here? I love it. It turns me on for like passion and different ideas and things like that. So, I mean, I know a lot of people probably feel that way. So that leads me to my next question. When you have all these projects, especially like you talked about having kind of like the passion for just shooting Legacy Visions and doing your thing, when you make content, let's say photography versus podcasting, are they one and the same? Do you work more from the heart or more from your head when it comes to creating things?
I would say photography is more from the heart. Photography is absolutely from the heart. videography, like doing actual like video, that's a mixture of both because it takes the brain and the heart for me to be. I don't know what anybody else is able to do it, but like for me to be able to do it. And podcasting is more from the brain, photography is more from the heart. Videography brings the two together. That's what I would say.
I like that. I like that a lot. I got a couple more questions. You know what I'm saying? So who are your biggest influences to date for doing both Legacy Visions and podcasting?
Really, honestly, like as far as like for podcasting, I don't say this to be cocky. It's really just my thrive for knowledge and good conversation. Like you've been around me, bro. When we were drinking.
Yes.
I'm not I can be talkative, but I'm not a very talkative person. So like for me to be in front of a mic and talk, it has to be stuff that I'm passionate about. So like, I think with podcasting really just comes from my desire for knowledge. Like that's me chasing knowledge, whether it's me working through my own thoughts, whether it's me having a conversation with somebody, if I have a guest on, whether it's them teaching me something. So it's really the strive for knowledge there. As far as like, if I had to give my speaking, how I talk and how passionate I am when I talk, any motivation, I have to link it back to this one thing. When I was 8 years old, my elementary school picked me to do the I Have a Dream speech for Martin Luther King celebration that we did. And again, I've never been a talkative person, but my teacher was like, even at that time, you're articulate and you are so passionate when you do get on your rants. At that time, it was probably like me getting on rants about Ninja Turtles and shit.
Important things in life at that age.
That they wanted me to do it. And so like, I really think like when you look at how Martin Luther King's speeches were written and how it was a crescendo, like anybody who listens to my podcast, especially when I'm alone, it builds and builds and builds and builds. So by the end of it, I'm going the fuck off.
Oh yeah.
So and I'm somebody who like I don't curse a lot. I don't use a bunch of vulgar language. Now I will if it just is natural. But
you in the moment.
Yeah. So that, and then like as far as style, I'm like my dad. It's my raw. I'm raw with everything that I give. So like nobody can walk away from anything that I've done podcasting wise and not say, we know exactly how this crazy ass dude feels, because I'm very open with it. As far as photography, there's this photographer. I'm throwing a blank for his name. Oh, Jesus.
Look it up if you got to look it up, baby.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Peter McKinnon. Okay. Who is a huge creative. And so as I started wanting to learn photography when I got my first camera, I would watch a lot of his tutorial videos. And like his shots are all really high contrasty. And like he uses light in very interesting ways. Like he has this one picture that he did, and it was the point of it was to convey solitude. And like it's him in this long shot of him just in a room sitting against a wall with a guitar, but there's so much emotion in that shot that it was like, okay, I want everything that I do photography wise for you to get whatever feeling I got. That was supposed to be in that shoot. I want you to get it just based off one photo. You can pull any singular photo that comes from a shoot and pull out what I was feeling from it. And so I try to shoot in a way that the photo tells the complete story. You know, it's easy to tell a story over several photos, but if you just take one photo, I want a story to be told from that. And so that comes from Peter McKinnon.
Ooh, so we got Peter McKinnon on the Legacy side and we got Pops on the other side. You know what I'm saying? A good blend. So that leads me to another question that is a must ask. If you could have one person on your show, dead or alive, besides me, of course, who would it be?
Dead or alive? You said one person?
One person only, dead or alive.
Jeez. Oh, man.
I know it's a tough one, but, we got to ask those tough questions.
Fuck. Honestly, this is what I'm going to go to. And this is alive. Some people may say this is an easy cop out. But as a creative person who's in multiple lanes, Kendrick Lamar. Like just to sit down, not necessarily about music. It could go to that. But I would love to have an unscripted conversation where you just give me 2 hours with Kendrick and let's just let the conversation go where it goes.
I mean, I think that's a damn good choice, especially because Kendrick is so much more than music than people know. Because, a lot of people just take what they see on the surface, but they don't do the additional work to really get to know somebody. And when you look into Kendrick and what he's actually doing right now, what he's been doing for years, which is why he hasn't come out with album after album, is truly impressive. And, he's definitely something different. So I like that. I like that answer.
Have you read his book?
I haven't read his book. No, I didn't even realize. No, what's it called?
What is it called? The Butterfly Effect. That's what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so it came out probably around the same time as his album.
I actually think it came out.
Pimp a Butterfly.
I think it came out more around Damn. Honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a few years back too. I remember I was in Vegas when that album dropped. You know what I'm saying?
Man, listen, I remember it's so funny because Kendrick's albums drop, and I remember where I was the first time I listened to every single Kendrick Lamar album. Like, it's such a vivid memory for me, every single one. Even the Black Panther album. I remember when that, even though it's not a straightforward Kendrick album, he curated it. But like, Kendrick's music to me is like, you can see his progression as an artist on every single one because they're all completely different albums. And you would almost think they came from completely different artists. And people like to compare Kendrick to like people like, I don't even know who they really compare him to, but I would say to me, Kendrick is like, he is an amalgamation of the culture, not just any rapper, of the culture. And so it makes it amazing to just see his growth.
For sure. I mean, if you listen to like Overly Dedicated and then you throw on, Damn, it's like, it's crazy how fundamentally he's got the same sound and style, but his flow and how it's just a little different and how tighter it is and like different things. It is crazy. The progression is wild with anybody. I mean, go listen to podcast number 1 compared to podcast number 1000 and something,
For sure.
A whole lot of growth around here. You know what I mean? So, speaking of growth, we got to touch on it a little bit, because, kids, 15 to 8, you know what I'm saying? For people that don't know, my man is not only that busy with life and creativity and things, but somehow makes time to be just a phenomenal father. So why don't you break it down a little bit of what it's like doing what you do while also having a string of kids that range from age 15 to age 8? Because that's wild.
I think for me, having a schedule and a routine saves my life. Like I'm not somebody who can live by the seat of their pants and just go. Like I have to have a routine. But I think my kids are literally my motivation for everything. So like anything that you see for me, like especially the silliness in the skits, that's basically the dad side of me coming out. Me and my kids play practical jokes on each other all the time. That's literally what we do. It's a sign of love here. So like my kids brought about, because before I had children, I was in a very dark place. Like I was an asshole. I'm still a lovable asshole, but it wasn't lovable then. I was just mean. But I found joy when I became a father. And so they are evident in every single thing that I do, whether you see them or you don't see them. And for me, it's the reason why I don't have my kids a lot, as far as like they've been on my podcast, right? But why you don't see them a lot in the things I do creatively is because it's almost like that's the special. That's my escape from everything else, right?
Yeah, I feel you.
And because I'm raising kids and I raise them to be intellectuals, I raise them to be thinkers. Some of the deepest conversations I have are with my children. And people wouldn't expect that. They keep me busy. It's stressful at times, right? I'm not going to make it seem like it's all rainbows. It's not.
I can't believe you don't have grays in that beautiful, flourishing, red, just amazing beard of yours. I can't believe it.
It's a blessing, bro. That's all I can say. But it just to see them turn from little people to now these fully functioning teenagers that in many ways don't need me other than to cut a check. Like it's wild. Like one day I'm upstairs working and I had to work late and I'm thinking, oh crap, what are we gonna do about dinner when I get off? It's so late. Like, am I really gonna feel like cooking? I come out from working and I'm like, all right, what do you guys want to do for dinner? My 13-year-old daughter's like, I already made mac and cheese, chicken's frying, we're good. And I'm just like, and nobody's dead. The house isn't burnt down. Nothing's on fire. So it's crazy to think that we, I don't want to cut out their mom or anything, even though we're not together, but we raise these from babies, these infants who don't know anything, to these many adults who in many ways are more emotionally intelligent than people I deal with every day. And it's a blessing, honestly. But your boy be tired, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, your boy be tired.
It don't show. I'll tell you that. It doesn't reflect poorly in the content or anything, or even in an interview like this, which, once again, thank you so much for showing the world and the followers of the Matty Mo Show your face if they haven't already seen it. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, let me give you your flowers, because you motivated me in a way that I don't think you realize.
Oh, so yeah, okay.
No, seriously. So, for a long time, I've always said, like, the fact that you do a daily show is crazy to me, right?
We out here.
So when I started Chicago Bulls Central, initially I was only going to do 2 episodes a week. Again, basketball, they play 3-4 games a week sometimes. Mm-hmm. And so it was, I can't remember what episode number it was, but I was listening to you and you said how many episodes you did daily. And I'm like, I'm jipping people. So if I'm going to do and cover a basketball team, that makes sense to do it daily. So Chicago Bulls Central is only daily because I saw you do it, and I'm like, I gotta do it. So I didn't think you realized that. So
my man, I did not. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. We just like you already know, man. You get passionate about something that you do, and it just flows natural. You know what I'm saying? Sure. But I appreciate that. We on the not that I didn't make a big stink about it, because just another day we crossed the threshold of 4 years consistently now. I think tonight would be episode 1476 or so. I don't know. I know I just said that, but at the same time, by the time people see that, we probably going to be in like the 150s, close to 160 range. But yeah, no, it's crazy. And like, as much as I may have been an influence to you in a positive way for that content, I mean, you do the same for me as well. And that's not just trying to, go tit for tat. Honestly, I've gotten a lot of great ideas looking at how and studying more or less how you do what you do, especially with your intros and your clips that you post and things that like are just so attractive and lure you in and kind of make you want to be like, okay, well, when's this drop? You know what I'm saying? Or is this out? I got to go check it out right now. So shout out to you for being able to do that, especially with Legacy Visions, man, which, I mean, we briefly touched on what you've been doing in the background. One project, obviously, you can't really talk much about, but in the mind of a creative, I'm just going to say that was one of the most impressive things that I saw when you came out with that little, mini doc. It was something so impressive. And I really loved how you blended everything together. Even in the very beginning, when the alarm goes off, you're like, get up, Haize. It's so dope. So I can't wait to see more. For people that don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up at the Awakened Soul podcast. You can go check that out, man. It's truly phenomenal. And I can't wait to see the next one. So we talked a lot about different projects you've got going on. We talked a little superhero business. We talked a little bit about the fried chicken with the macaronis cooking. The house is still standing. You know what I'm saying? But that being said, the grow up for you is really something that is spectacular in my eyes, because I know for more than half your life, you said it in the interview with Bobby, you said that you grew up more or less angry for like about more than half of your life. Mm-hmm. And to have the children that you have and how intellectual they are and fun and creative and things like that, you at their age, what was life like for you? How it differed from how life is like for them right now?
Oh, just them being emotionally intelligent, right? Like that shit. I'm so proud of that. Me in my life, where I was then, like my oldest, he'll be 16 in April.
He's going pro.
Yeah, I hope so. From your mouth to God's
He's
ears.
Going pro.
Where I was at 16, man, I was a hothead, man. Like I told the story before. Like my friends used to literally be like, "Hey, CJ, I bet you can't go whoop his ass," and I'll go start a fight just to prove a point, like just to get my anger and aggression out. And it always happened after football season, because I'd be damned if I got kicked off the football team. But that's the story for another day. But I think my kids, they have a better understanding of mental health. Like I always say, we're the first generation to really understand mental health, like me and your age group. And so we'd be crazy not to pass that down to our children. And so like, I really try to do that. I really try to let my sons especially work through their emotions, realize it's fine to have them. But man, yeah, I was a hothead doing shit that I had no business doing. And
different minds and different times.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what do you think contributed mostly to the anger of you growing up as a young Haize? And, what was the reason behind it? Did you ever get to the very bottom of it? Because I know you said your life, even after your firstborn for about a year, you were still a very angry individual. So what do you think it was that really flipped on inside you that made you see, like, this can't keep going on. I got to do this,
I think initially it was definitely my son being born. It calmed me down a little bit, but not all the way. But then I think too, it was a conversation I had with my dad. So like, I was always an angry kid. I don't know what it was. Well, first I thought I was a badass. I've been in freaking martial arts since I was like 5 years old. So I just knew nobody could beat my ass. So that
flip you into a pretzel.
So that right there was just like, all right, listen, first of all, can't nobody fuck with me. So fuck y'all. But secondly, I think, my parents getting a divorce. Like me and my dad we're still super close. We've always been super close. And so once my parents split and we moved to St. Louis, my dad moved to California. It was the first time I didn't have my dad in my life. And so I didn't have my outlet, like my example. Like I had to be the man. Not only did I was missing my dad, I then had to become the man of the house. And so the only way that I couldn't, of course, I couldn't let my sister see me upset because I'm the person who's there with them. My mom had to work 2 jobs at that point. My mom's amazing. So I couldn't let them. I can't take it out on my mama because my mom's a little firecracker. She would have beat my ass too.
No karate in the world going to stop those hands.
Exactly. So that's just how I dealt with it. And then around 21, 22 years old, because I didn't talk to my dad for between the age of 17 till 21. I went from talking to my dad every day, being the person I just didn't talk to him because I didn't know how to have that conversation with him, that he wasn't there, and just let him know I was pissed off about it. So we had a conversation when I was 21, 22 years old, and we just really laid it all out. And he let me know, he was like, I never was abandoning you. Like that was never the case. Like me and your mom didn't work out. That didn't mean that I wasn't going to still be your father. And so we had the conversation, like letting that was the first step on the journey. I was still upset as shit. But then I remember seeing, I can't remember, it was an episode of some TV show. I honestly think it may have been something stupid like Friends, and they went to therapy. And I was like, I wonder if this therapy shit really works. And so I found a therapist that was close by. I went to my first session. And at that point, I went every 2 weeks for the next year and a half. So.
Damn, which takes a lot, as you talked about with one of the cognac boys, you know what I'm saying? It was, it's truly inspiring to hear, especially to be able to open yourself up and be so vulnerable, which is one of the hardest things for somebody to do. I think men especially, you know what I mean? As having that natural instinct to try to not show emotion ends up hurting it and creating more emotion, which is the wild thing. It's like a trifecta, but I mean, as a child coming from divorced parents, as a young man myself, I understand some of the battle that was created, but not to your extent, which is why I wanted to really ask where you were at, because, I still had both mom and dad, mom's here, dad's over there, but, we chop in houses. So to know that you had that long time where you did have to step up, it's just truly inspiring, I think, for a lot of people out there that are still allowing that, if they went through something similar, to kind of define who they are today. And I think a lot of people still lash out about things that happened in the past instead of come to terms with them, So that's really cool that you open up about that. And speaking of, I know about the sneak flight over to Korea at one point, not that we dry snitching on the show, but how was it growing up, as you referred to yourself as a military brat?
Mm-hmm.
How was that growing up under that? Like, was it challenging, or was it cool? Like, how did you feel about that?
It was awesome, because keep in mind, I'm an introvert. So like, some people it's hard on because they don't like because moving so much and having to start new friend groups all the time. That was never a problem for me. I got to see a lot of cool shit, right? I used to be able to say, like, the Sistine Chapel was literally like a 30-minute bike ride from my house.
Damn.
So growing up in Italy, so like I got to see stuff that people literally save their whole adult lives to be able to go see as an everyday experience for me. So I think that's definitely helped to, like, me being more cultured and me being like just getting to see some cool shit. I think if I had to point out something that was most difficult about it, it was not being able to see my family as much. Like, I have 6 sisters, my mom, my dad, of course, all of us, but like, I'm really close with my cousins. My cousins are like my brothers, all of them. Shout out to Alex, Ryan, Mike, and Cliff. We're all like brothers, right? But I came over every summer, and I would stay in the States every single summer with them. And my uncle, I'll stay either at my grandma's house or my uncle's house. And so it was something to look forward to every summer, but it sucked because where some people are like, hey, we're going to go drive to your uncle's house for Christmas. We didn't have that. So that was the suckiest part about it.
Well, where was the coolest place that you have ever been to in your whole entire life, since you have been to a lot of different places? Where would you say was like the most beautiful, or the one that hit you the hardest that you loved?
Barcelona. And I only say that because I was 13 when we went there. And in Barcelona, for people who don't know, like in Europe in general, like every beach is a nude beach. They don't market nude. Like nudity, Europeans don't trip off nudity like Americans do. So like I saw some of the most gorgeous titties in my life in Barcelona when I was 13 years old. So the beach, the sand, and the titties made that the best experience of my life.
The tannest ones out there, you know what I'm saying? Those things that they miss the sun, I could imagine. I'm kind of imagining it right now.
See, there you go. There you go, brother.
So speaking of European style, you ever rocked a Speedo? Tell me.
Oh, no. Never rocked a Speedo, bro.
Would you rock a Speedo?
Now, yeah, I'm confident now, but back in being a kid, like, ain't no way. Now I don't give a damn. If all I had was a Speedo, hey, listen, y'all got to look at it. I don't give a damn. I see my junk every day, so.
They don't make Speedos that big, all right? Let's be real here. But anyways, you know what I'm saying? So that being said, what are some of the things that we can look forward to in the future that you can kind of divulge some of the information from us without letting the cat too far out of the bag?
So the mini doc that I'm working on, I've actually, from that clip that I posted, have had other creators reach out to me interested in doing something like that and me filming it. So I'm working on putting together a series with other creators who are doing shit like that. I would love for you to be a part of it as well.
Oh, 100. 100.
So that's my next thing that I'm working on, and specifically that because I feel like we often, like with the content that I create, you know me as a creative, right? Because I talk about deeper content, but like I want to connect with like people who are like sports content creators, or people who have comedy podcasts, people who you don't necessarily get to find out a lot about their life and their journey, and do a similar type of content like that. Because I feel like with creatives, we know their content, but we don't always get a chance to know them. So to be able to tell their story through my lens, which is a tagline of Legacy Visions, your story through our lens. To really be able to bring that concept. Like I created that tagline because it sounded like a dope tagline to me, but to actually be able to bring that into a concept of a project is really, really enticing to me. So I can't wait to do that. I actually filmed the first one that's not me in March, the weekend of March 8th. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Let's go. Now, do we have any plans for some superstar style caliber guests coming on? I know you've been with that Bulls style. I know I wouldn't put it past you to get somebody on there from the hardwood. You know what I'm saying? Has that ever been in the talks recently, would you say? There's one guest that has reached out to me. Let's go.
That I will have. It probably won't be to the off season, but I'm super looking forward to it. Super looking forward to it. There's also a rapper who will actually be a guest on, if we can make it work by the end of April. So yeah, there's things. It's crazy, right? And what's wild about it is that it's gotten to the point where people are reaching out to me to do it. Like the first time a celebrity, and he isn't even an A-list, he's not even like a C-list celebrity, but for people who like know hip hop, Mickey Fax reached out to me to be a guest on the podcast.
Damn, okay.
So like that interview was 2 years ago. So like that was like the initial thing. And then I remember the time Missy Elliott retweeted one of my episodes. Like that was like crazy to me. So now to like be able to bring more people on, and you know me, people think of like celebrity guests as a good way to get clicks. It's not even that for me. It's like, I can't wait to have a conversation with these people. Facts. And that's what's going to make it special.
Yeah, because I'm sure they get tired of putting on a face just as much as the next guy that's going to that job they probably hate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sure. No, it's real cool to get to know somebody of that caliber, especially Missy Misdemeanor Elliott, baby. You know, I can't stop the rain. You know,
if I ever get to interview Missy Elliott, y'all can't tell me shit for 2 weeks. I'm just letting y'all know right now. Anytime somebody says anything to me, I'm like, you know, I interview Missy Elliott, right?
Yeah.
So
She reached out to me, right? That shit is wild, man. I can't wait to see the growth, and I can't wait to see the potential guests that you still have to come on the show, man. That's what I love most too about what you do, is that you never know what you're gonna get. And I think that's something that, gets overlooked as well. Because a lot of saturation in the podcast field nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. COVID hit and everyone was bored and wanted to start a podcast, which I don't knock on anybody, but there's only so much pop culture I can hear. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much Kim K, Pete, Dave things I can hear. You know what I mean? So to have you on here to be able to do things in the way that you do them is very cool. And I know a lot of people get heavily influenced, as I said myself, from what you do. So that being said, and knowing you have some of the influence that you have on a lot of folks, what would you say has been the funnest project for you that you've worked on with other creatives that you got to see grow, or that really stuck out to you the most in their journey?
2, Afros and audio, because what that's grown into, like the first one was a physical festival in New York. And what that was, right? It was a beautiful thing. But now that, they had to go to digital the last 2 years because of COVID, but that being like such a cultural thing that people are legitimately like looking for has been huge. And then the Melanin Meta Festival in Dallas, which was the year it was happened a couple of months before COVID hit. They haven't been able to do it again because that has to be an in-person thing. Mm-hmm. But what that was, like, all I can say for that, like, it was to see people from every different creative lane. It was podcasters, it was YouTubers, it was painters, artists, people who create crafts. It was a black person who owned their own cannabis company. Like, to see a mix of creatives come to that was amazing. And to be a part of that, and be a part of, I wasn't one of the originators of it, but they did bring me in to help execute some ideas with it, and to see that grow into what it's grown into has just been refreshing as hell.
And that was the Dallas one we talking about too, right?
Yep, Dallas.
Because I know you got a lot of love for Dallas, baby. I know you love Dallas.
Hey, Dallas loves me too, man. I love the city of Dallas, man. I really do. That's like a second home to me, and I've never lived there, but like the love that I get in Dallas was so, because I've been to Dallas now 4 to 5 times, but the very first time I ever went to Dallas, like the amount of people that were like, hey, while you're here, let's work, let's create on this. And then, it's easy to do that when people are in your city, but then to cultivate that after I came back home, and us still to this day, a lot of the people that I met there, we have conversations about things that we want to do and work on together. Like, Dallas is a beautiful city. So,
I mean, I've only been to the DFW area once, and I'll tell you, downtown Dallas was a time and a half, and it was a lot of fun. The people were so cool. I wish when I was there I got a chance to do some actual like work, or like try to get out there and network a little bit, but there's always another time, hopefully. But would you say Dallas by far, I know you love Dallas and stuff like that, but would you say Dallas overall takes the cake for the entertainment side of things that you've done in places that you've traveled to do certain things?
It's in no particular order. It's Dallas, DC, and Atlanta. Period.
Oh yeah, I know you love the DC area too.
Yeah,
Shout out to my man Carl of Duty as well. Carl of Duty in DC, man. That boy is fire.
Yeah, DC is number one. I easily, and not just
DC takes it.
Not just for the creative, like their spoken word and poetry scene in DC is like, and I love live poetry and spoken word. So, and then like a spring evening in DC, and anyone who gets the chance to do this, I know going to see the monuments is a huge thing. If you go during the spring, go after the sun goes down, because all the monuments are lit up and you still can walk them. It's literally the most beautiful. Put it in headphones if you're alone, just walk the monuments. It's so tranquil and beautiful.
That's dope. And I mean, ATL. Whew, I'm getting hot just thinking about it.
We're going to stop. We're going to stop.
Just gonna stop right.
What happens in ATL stays in ATL.
It's like a mini Vegas. You know what I'm saying? We're just going to chill with the ATL flow. Shout out to T.I. Get on the show if you want, man. You know what it is. But anyways, that is fire. And I love that. I also love DC because I mean, I've only ever passed through DC. I didn't get a chance to go there and create, but with so much rich history and things like that. And you just mentioned the spoken word and the poetry and things like that. Now, that begs me to ask this question, since you yourself are a very intellectual person and you have a way with words and how you lay things down and how you set things up. have you yourself ever participated in either poetry or spoken word? And if not, do you ever see yourself maybe going and sharing that on an open mic night?
Never will share it on an open mic. That would never happen. It would never happen. A younger me did used to write poetry all the time, actually.
For
all
real?
the
You
time.
got like a little book?
It's either here or it's in my mom's house somewhere, but yeah.
I like that. One day we're going to have to break that out of the crates. I love poetry, man. Poetry is dope. I love slam poetry, too. I think that's a lot of fun, little back and forth action and stuff. But that's so cool. And I just got to say thank you so much for opening up and obviously relaying certain things and stuff and letting us know what to potentially look forward to in the future as things continue to glow and blow for my man CEO. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, brother.
But, before we close things out here on the show, I really gotta, mix it up a little bit, just like we did the icebreaker question, because I know you like to do certain things with your people on your shows, and I'm gonna do one with you. So if there's anything that you would like to leave, as you know, you've listened to my show many times, I always leave people with a final thought. And I was wondering if you could bless the audience with a little piece of advice, whether it be motivational, inspirational, or just something that wants to come out of you. If you could please share that with the people.
I'm going to be simple with it. No one can invest in you more than what you can invest in yourself. And that's why you should always bet on yourself, because if you don't bet on you, you can't expect anyone else to.
As my man Mike Frost said from Dope Heads NFTs, Mike Frost told down, he says, all gas, no brakes, baby. That's what it is. The land of the real, we ain't in the land of the fakes. But I appreciate you, CEO Haize, the red-bearded assassin, as I said, leaving the ladies of all ages hot flashing. You know what I'm saying? Thirst trapping and dip dapping. He's doing what he do. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Why don't you tell the people, even though I'm going to put it in the description, where they can reach you at?
You can follow me at CEO Haize. That's CEOHAIZE. That's on every major social media platform. If you want to follow Legacy Visions, it's at _Legacy Visions on every social media platform. And if you want to follow The Awakened Soul, it's at Awakened Soul Pod on every social media platform. That's it.
Let's go, baby. Well, I got to say, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for fitting me into your schedule, as I know that Google Calendar is loaded up, and I'm honored to just be a little speckle on that big old calendar, baby. I truly appreciate you for stopping by and rocking out with me as always. It's been a pleasure.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Hell yeah. Well, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you heard the man. Go follow him, Adam. Tell him Matty sent you. Make sure you comment down below. And any link leading to this man that we have can be found in the description. And like he said, you can find him everywhere, baby.
Uncle Matty from the Mighty Mo Show. Sorry, I messed that up.
You're good. You're good. Don't you just love that face?